Hi, this is Jeremy at the Creation Museum. I am here with Joe Owen. We have our Dia Latino Day here at the Creation Museum. So I'm just going to interview him and find out all that's going on. We'll check out some of the activities here today. So what is happening here today?
This is our fourth Dia Latino in the Creation Museum, a Spanish-speaking day here at the museum. And this year's awesome. We get to now do it today at the museum and tomorrow at the Ark. What's going on today is we have about 30 interpreters set up through the Creation Museum. We have interpreters that have traveled here from Minnesota through the night, drove through the night just to be here this morning and to help us out. We have a lot of Spanish-speaking supporters of this ministry here with a lot of our specialists throughout the museum giving talks, giving workshops throughout the museum and live for all the guests and then being interpreted into Spanish. So we also, I just got done interpreting the Men in White in the Special Effects Theater in Spanish, the simultaneous translation. And then today we have the Bolivian Evangelical University from Bolivia, South America, here to play a live concert here in the museum at 3 p.m. for all English and Spanish-speaking guests. So it's a very exciting day.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
So when you translated Men in White, did you have to do different voices for the characters?
Yes, that is one of the hardest things to do, because if you've ever seen the Men in White, if you haven't, you need to come watch it. But if you've ever seen it, you remember that there's a professor, there is a news interview going on in the middle of it. There are the two angels, Mike and Gabe, and there's the Wendy in the front, and then there's a classroom where there's a professor with the two students in the back. And so I'm having to change my voice to all these people back and forth really quickly, and it's simultaneous, so I have to be fast. So it's a challenge.
Yeah.
I don't think it's the best interpretation ever. I'd hate to be graded on it, but it's the best we can do for that kind of situation.
Sure, yeah. So a lot of things going on. So can you just give us some just detail what's going on here, some of the things that they can expect, and should we even go check some of the things out?
I think it would be good if y'all would like to come along with us. Let's go actually see what's going on. And this is great for our English-speaking guests too, because they don't usually get the specialists giving live talks in here. So let's walk through here and go through this line and see what's going on inside the museum. As you can see, there's always a lot of lines here. That's a good thing to have.
Oh, sure.
And the people, while they're waiting in line, you can see they're not bored or frustrated in the line. There's a lot to read as you come down here. And so you get to actually look at exhibits while you're waiting to get in the museum. I think that's one of the great things about here.
Definitely.
As you can notice, these are some of our Spanish-speaking families here enjoying the exhibits as they're waiting in line to get into the museum.
Getting through here. And for those who are joining us, we are going to be touring through the museum, seeing what events we have going on today with our Dia Latino here at the Creation Museum.
We're going to see something very interesting. We do have a very large Hispanic group going in right now. So we're going to see a geologist who has a focus on paleontology from Brazil right now here, teaching a little bit about the starting points room. And she has an interpreter, but she speaks Portuguese, obviously. She has an interpreter from Santo Domingo, the Dominican Republic, for her. We're going to see her right in here.
And not only do you see what's going on here at Dia Latino, you're getting a special sneak preview of the Creation Museum.
Yeah. So, as you can see here, we have a group that's come in. And this is the starting points room of the museum. This is where people are getting the first exposure to what they're going to see, to understand that this is not there's not a fight over evidences, but we all have the same evidence. And so to help people understand that we all have starting points, and there are two basic starting points, and that are the geologist is explaining right now, who came here all the way from Brazil.
Wow, yeah, that's cool.
Well, you want to see Dr. Menton, one of the...
Yes.
Dr. Menton, he even has the shirt on today. He's representing.
Dr. Menton, he's one of our scientists here at the Creation Museum. He puts on special workshops for us many times throughout the week.
Here on the way here, this is Dr. Maritza. Dr. Maritza is a longtime supporter of this ministry. She practices medicine in, I think, Minnesota. Her husband does as well. They're both MDs, and they support this ministry. They bring groups down. Their ministry is to bring groups. They just had their 30th trip to the museum. Bringing groups, their ministry is to bring groups, and they pay for their entrance into the museum. And they take them through here. Right now, she's in Spanish because she is from Puerto Rico, even though they live in the United States. And she's helping people understand this room as they come in here. Here's Dr. Minton. He's explaining the footprints of Laetoli here, which were thought to be some kind of a proof that Australopithecus afarensis had human-like feet, even though they're found over 1,000 kilometers away from where Lucy was found. And he's giving an explanation here, right here. But what he's usually doing here is he's showing different skulls and showing some of the anatomical differences between humans and apes and the supposed missing links, and then Neanderthal, etc. I wonder if we can get in and hear in any what he's teaching. I hope the microphone would pick it up. That would be nice.
Yeah. Let's get in here.
I believe there's probably close to 2,000 years old.
That's interesting.
Excuse us, Dr. Madden. We're here with Facebook Live on the Creation Museum Facebook page.
Okay.
So we're wondering if you could just give us a short description of what you've been teaching here, maybe even show us some of the skulls and what they mean.
Surely. Well, we've been comparing a human skull to a chimp skull. The chimps are supposed to be most like modern humans. We point out 5 differences between human and chimp. Humans have a big brain and cranial capacity. The chimp has a small brain, about a third the size of the human. The big difference between an ape here and a human is the slope of the face. Look at that. That's not very subtle, is it? You notice a slope there at all, huh? You go by the arch here. You see, you could hold it like that. It would look vertical. But you run a line out this cheekbone here to the face, and that's the slope we're talking about right there. If you do that with the human, run a line, it's essentially perpendicular or vertical face. Another difference is the nasal bones. On humans, they protrude like an awning. They meet in the middle in a seam there. If you break your nose, that's what you break right there. We also have this little bump called the nasal spine. If you put your finger into your nose like a mustache and try to raise your finger, there's a little bony strut that's stopping it. That's what you're feeling right here. That's what the nasal septum hooks onto. Apes have nasal bones, but they're flat. And they have no nasal spine. They have a nasal septum, you can see it inside, but no nasal spine. They have nasal bones, but they're flat. That means apes can't wear glasses, by the way, to give you some useful information. Finally, the forehead. Humans have a curved forehead. Put your hand on your forehead and take it away, you'll see a curvature. If you were an ape, you'd put your hand up here and you'd take it away, it would look like that. We'd need to talk after this lecture if that were the case. Apes, for example, look at this. This is a female orangutan, modern female orangutan. Flat. And as a result, when you look from the side, the bone comes way out on the edge here. Whereas on the human, because of the curvature, think of these eye sockets like ice cream cones. The ice cream cone looks round at the open end, but because of the curvature, it's cut back here. See? You can look right inside from the side. That gives the human eye a more oval appearance. It gives the ape eye a more goggle appearance, round. Okay, well, I think you're ready for the exam. Oh, there has to be a test. We teachers don't get paid a whole lot. One of the few joys we have in life is persecuting students with exams. I have 2 famous ape men here, and I want you to tell me whether they're apes or humans, because God made apes and he made humans. He just didn't make ape humans, okay? And so apes and humans are easy to tell apart. We ought to be able to look at ape men and tell whether they're apes or humans, since God didn't make any ape men. Here's a very famous ape man right here. In fact, it's the skull from the creature you see in the glass case, Lucy. You've all heard of Lucy, Australopithecus afarensis. Let's quickly look at our 5 points. Size of the cranium. Is there any hint of a slope to the face? Is the forehead flat? Does the bone come way out on the edge, or is it cut back? Are the eye orbits round or goggle-eyed, or are they oval? What about the nasal bones on Lucy? Do they protrude? Is there a nasal spine? If we put it all together, what would your conclusion be? Lucy is an ape or a human?
Ape or human?
Human?
She didn't hear all the explanations. She just came in.
Wait, what?
Do you think that looks
If
more
it's
like
human,
an
it
ape?
has to have a
Yeah, sorry. Ape.
It looks more like a human. Or yeah, that
I knew you understood it correctly. You just got it. So clearly an ape. Compare that to another famous ape man you've all heard of, I'll bet, Neanderthal man. It's a real insult to be called a Neanderthal, you idiot. But my goodness, look at the size of the noggin. That's a technical word, the noggin. Really big compared to even modern man. Doesn't mean he was smarter, but you certainly can't say the brain is undersized. What about any slope at all to the face if we run a line, or is it pretty much perpendicular or vertical? Okay. Can you look into the orbits from the side? Is it cut back? Yeah. Protruding nasal bones? Nasal spine? What would your conclusion be? Human or ape?
Human.
Surely. But we have more evidence than just anatomy. We have cultural evidence here. We have tools and artwork and burial customs and evidence of cooking and habitation, what have you. In the case of creatures like Lucy, the Australopithecines, there is no cultural evidence. You just find the ape bones and that's it.
So you tend to find more cultural evidence with.
Flutes with holes and positions to be playable, tools of various kinds. Just recently, within the past year, there was a cave where Neanderthal individuals had lived, and they found that they broke off a bunch of the stalactites and stalagmites and into sort of brick size, and they stacked them like brick and made a curved, basically brick wall inside of the cave. So a lot of evidence, even the things that appear to be cosmetics kits, where they had hinged scallop shells with different pigments. So lots of cultural evidence.
That's really cool. Well, thank you, Dr. Benton, for your time. Really appreciate it. So that's just one of the events here happening today at Dia Latino here at the Creation Museum. And here is Steve Hamm. What do you do here at the Creation Museum?
Okay, so I'm the director for the International Ministry for Answers in Genesis. And so we take the initiatives of all that we do in Answers in Genesis, take it all around the world.
Oh, that's cool. That's
Yeah.
cool.
So this happens to be one of my favorite things that we do in the international ministries.
Why is that?
Because just seeing a diverse group of Spanish speakers coming to the museum, hearing the message of this place in their own language as they go around, because as I go around the world, we do conferences and we speak to people, we train people. We don't get the opportunity to take people through a museum that is a walk through the Bible. And, this is kind of one of its kind in the whole world. And so to see people coming through here and getting a translation of this museum with their children in their own language is something that just really excites me. People's questions are being answered and they're having a great day.
Sure. They're even translating Dr. Benton, aren't
Yes. They sure are. Right now, actually right behind us, you can see a group that's going to come, that is coming through. And as soon as they go around this corner, they will be translating for Dr. Menton. So you have a whole group getting ready for that. It's really exciting. They're just starting to pile in right now, as you can see.
they? That's cool.
Yeah.
So the information you just heard from Dr. Benton, they are going to hear it in their own language, in Spanish, here coming up. So that's just cool. That's just one of the events happening today. Again, we have over 30 translators, is that right?
Yeah, over 30 translators today in the museum right now.
Yeah. That's cool. So is there anything more to see, or is that what we wanted to see here today?
Well, there's a lot more here. It'd be hard to get through because there's crowds
Sure.
of people. But At 3 p.m. today, we're having the Evangelical Band from Bolivia going to be playing, and we're looking to fill out Legacy Hall, and I think it's going to be awesome.
So, Dia Latino is also at the Ark. So, can you give us a little preview of what's going to be happening there?
Yes, tomorrow at the Ark Encounter, we're going to have 45 interpreters in the Ark, Lord willing. And we have people flying in from Peru, from Colombia, from El Salvador, from Mexico, from Guatemala, from Bolivia. And I know of a group that's driving down right now as we speak from Canada, another group that's driving up from Texas, another group driving down from Connecticut. And those are the ones who've just contacted me. Only God knows who else is coming. And throughout the Ark, we're going to have this Answers in Genesis specialists in the exhibits and with interpreters as people go through hearing an explanation of the exhibits in the Ark in the Spanish language.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, is this an annual event? If people are watching right now and they're like, man, I missed it, I can't travel here right now, is this going to happen again?
Yes, this is every year. We don't have a date for next year yet, though, but it is an annual event that's in the beginning of fall every year. So please look out, keep looking back on creationmuseum.org at answersingenesis.org. If you speak Spanish, respuestasengenesis.org to see when we announce the dates for next year.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time. I really
you.
appreciate it. And keep watch here. We're going to have another live stream later on today.